And you're listening to Binjang 91.5, and it's time for Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. Good afternoon, Matthew.
Afternoon, Tony. Great to be chatting again.
It always is. Now, a very good topic here this afternoon. Where are things headed with the solar panel research?
Yeah, I think we're going quite well with solar panel research. We see obviously a huge number of solar panels on our rooftops, obviously around Wellington, huge new solar farms going up. Every time you drive around there, you see more solar panels there. Unfortunately, most of those panels, as we all know, come from China, but there's been $15 million. I would have hoped for more, but at least it's a good start. $15 million has been put aside by the federal government and awarded some research projects to 6 universities for 16 different research projects. And they're focused on 3 main things. The first one is solar panel efficiency. Obviously, that's something that we can work on and I suppose make some big changes there, because at the moment, most solar panels, even though there's research that shows that we've gone further, but most solar panels you see are around that 18 to maybe 22% efficiency. And if we can keep increasing that, obviously it can reduce the overall number of solar panels. So projects focused on solar panel efficiency, cost reductions, and that's obviously a huge thing as well. It makes it more palatable to put, instead of a 1 kilowatt system, maybe a 3 kilowatt system, or instead of a 3, maybe a 10 kilowatt system, if you can get those prices down. And the other big issue, and it's one of the issues that I hear often, Tony, when people talk about renewable energy and solar panels, and then people always throw up the thing about, oh, what happens in 25 years' time? You've got all these solar panels, and what are they going to do? Are they going to go to landfill, or what's going to happen with them? And so some of the research projects are focused on end-of-life issues. What do you do with those solar panels then? Is 25 years the real life, or will they get 50 years? Can we reuse those? Is there something we can do with the elements in there? So the 16 projects are focused around those 3 main components of solar panels. So again, I'm not sure that there are really any green credentials for this particular federal government, but at least they're putting a little bit of money towards some solar panel research, and hopefully some good things will come out of that, to the point where Australia can be leading the way in the technology, and maybe, I dream, Tony, but maybe even some manufacturing of solar panels in this country.
Yeah, there's some very interesting questions in there, Matthew, I have to say. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with in relation to all those issues you just mentioned. Now, how can the average user take advantage of augmented reality? Now, you might just like to explain what augmented reality is.
Yeah, sure. I mean, most people have heard of virtual reality, and they see people work using the strange headsets that basically take them away from the world they're in and take them into a virtual world. One of the things that you often see with augmented reality, you'll often see a launch of some new phones or some new tablets, and you'll see someone on stage showing the augmented reality, where it combines some things in a virtual world with some things in the real world. And so you always see these great demos on stage, but a lot of people say to me, that looked great on stage, and as often demos do, it looks fantastic, but how can that be reused in the real world? And we've got a Kmart coming to Dubbo, as you would be aware, and Kmart has now launched a new tool that basically lets you use a modern phone or a modern tablet and look at a place in your particular house and then add furniture in a virtual world. So you look through the Kmart catalogue, gee, I wonder if that lounge chair would look good in my lounge room. So you basically take your phone into the lounge room, you add the chair into the lounge room, so you look at your lounge room through the camera on the screen, but when you look at it through the camera, it's got that particular lounge chair or that bit of furniture that you're looking at. And as you move the camera around the room, it stays in that particular location as if it was there in the real world. So you get an idea, no, I don't like the look of that, I wonder about this one, how would the size of that go? So it actually looks at the size as well and gets you to have the ability to use that different furniture in different spots in your house to then choose or decide which one to work with. You'd often see people looking around furniture places where they'd have a tape measure and they pull out the tape measure and measure the furniture and then look at their notes to see whether it would fit in their lounge room or whether it even fit through their doors, for example. But this obviously takes away that need. Once you've decided what to buy or what looks good, you can go into the local Kmart store and pick up the furniture.
Well, that's an interesting thing, because buying things online, it's always hard to imagine what something might be, and sometimes you're flying blind when you're buying stuff on the internet. So that'd be really great to help solve that problem.
It does, and you're spot on, Tony. It helps you solve that problem, but more than that, you can still go in physically and look at it after you've looked at it in your lounge room to make sure it fits in with your decor. But some people still want to touch it, so they can still go in and feel and touch it, knowing that they've already done the investigation in their actual environment.
Yeah. Now, why would Apple be suing a Canadian recycler who's reselling iPhones, iPads and watches?
Yeah, look, sometimes I think that Apple gets a little bit heavy-handed with their legal team, but in this case, I think they're pretty well justified. Apple makes a pretty big deal about the fact that they're committed to recycling materials in their devices, and they I suppose their green credentials are quite strong. And they had a contract with a Canadian company called Jeep where they would send them various devices. So they sent them 550,000 devices for recycling. Now, the Canadian company, it's alleged, obviously nothing's been proven yet, there's a court case going on, but it's been alleged that rather than recycling those components, they decided that they might just resell them. So obviously they're being paid money by Apple to go through the recycling process, so they're picking up some money from Apple there. Then they decided to pick up a bit of extra money for selling some of those products. And of course, Apple's smart enough that those products that connected to the network, they were alerted on their system that these IMEI numbers, the serial numbers of those devices, had been sent away for recycling. Next thing you know, they're showing up on the Apple servers as still being active and being used. So that was a bit of a red light to Apple themselves about the fact these are being reused. Some of the products they're not sure about because some were Wi-Fi only and they didn't need to be activated through the Apple servers or through a cellular network, so it might even be higher than those things. So there's a couple of court cases going on. The company called Jeep, it's spelled GEEP, is actually suing some of their employees. Unfortunately, the employees they're suing are 3 senior managers at the firm. So if it's proven, you would have to say that the firm was well and truly aware of this process that was going on.
Very interesting. And you've been listening to Tech Talk with Matthew Dickinson on Binjang 91.5. Stay tuned next week at the same time, or also in the morning at 10:40 a.m. for the next editions. And it's back to the great music and community information on Binjang.
Thanks, Tony. I'll go and see what those dogs are up to.